When Donald Trump first announced that he would appoint the world's richest man, Elon Musk, as head of a new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, there was an open question as to exactly how much power and influence Musk would wield in Washington, D.C. It could have been an arm's-length body tasked only with making recommendations to Congress on where to cut spending, but it has turned out to be something very different. At Trump's pleasure, Musk and his team have placed themselves at the heart of the new administration with almost unprecedented power, gaining access to crucial systems, ousting staff, and even working to shutter entire agencies. The upheaval Musk is bringing has been likened to his takeover of Twitter, only on a much larger scale and with a very different beast, the US government. So in this video, we're going to take a look at what DOGE is, what Musk is doing and why, if it's all legal, and whether anyone can or will stop him. Explore which world leaders are winning and which are losing every week with our new podcast, The World Leader Leaderboard. Find it over on the TLDR Podcast YouTube channel or in your favorite podcast app. So, what is the Department of Government Efficiency? Well, despite its name, Trump didn't actually create a proper federal department. That would need to be done by Congress. Instead, Trump renamed and repurposed the already existing United States Digital Service, which was created by Barack Obama. Trump's executive order tasked DOGE with modernizing federal technology and software to maximize governmental efficiency and productivity. As for Musk's personal role, he's obviously not a Senate-confirmed department head, and after much questioning by the press, the White House clarified that Musk was working as a special government employee. He's not being paid for the role, and the status allows individuals to serve up to 130 days, though it's unclear how long Trump envisions Musk serving. The designation may also allow Musk to avoid having to publicly file financial disclosures. However, special government employees are prohibited from participating in matters that may feature financial conflicts of interest. So, given the number and size of companies that the world's richest man runs, and his billions of dollars in federal contracts, the potential for conflict of interest is huge. Trump has insisted that Musk will be kept away from such conflicts, although the White House press secretary later effectively said that it's Musk's own responsibility to recuse himself when facing a conflict of interest. But what are Musk and his young engineer staffers actually doing? On the day Trump took office, January the 20th, Musk's team commandeered the Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, which is effectively the human resources agency that manages the federal workforce. On January the 28th, the OPM sent an email to some 2 million federal employees, offering them a resignation package with a promise of pay through September, though there were questions as to whether that funding can actually be guaranteed, and unions have strongly opposed the offer. This forms part of Musk's goal to slash the size of the federal workforce, and the Trump administration is reportedly planning widespread layoffs soon, leaving those who don't accept the offer at risk. Others could be encouraged out by other means. Russell Vought, Trump's pick to head the OPM, said in a 2023 speech, "We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. When they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains." Arguably the biggest event, though, was Musk gaining access to the Treasury Department's payment system, which distributes more than $6 trillion a year on behalf of federal agencies and contains the personal information of millions of Americans who receive Social Security, Medicare, tax refunds, and other money from the government. A top career official at the Treasury reportedly tried to resist allowing DOGE access to this system, but suddenly retired last week, and Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, granted Musk's team access. Musk also has his sights set on the US Agency for International Development, or USAID, the world's largest aid donor that distributes around $70 billion annually for things like sanitation, healthcare, disaster relief, and more. After Trump imposed a worldwide freeze on US foreign aid, hundreds of USAID contractors were placed on unpaid leave, and some were terminated. And Musk, who called the agency a criminal organization, says Trump agreed with him that it should be shut down. In a similar series of events, as at the US Treasury, 2 senior USAID security officials attempted to stop DOGE workers from gaining physical access to restricted areas, and both officials were subsequently put on administrative leave. According to the New York Times, Musk and his team have made incursions into at least half a dozen government agencies in total so far, including the General Services Administration, which manages federal offices around the country. So why is Musk taking such a fast and aggressive approach? Well, his aim through DOGE is to cut $1 to $2 trillion from the nearly $7 trillion federal budget, a monumental, if at all possible, task. Getting access to federal IT infrastructure and to the Treasury's payment system, effectively the government's checkbook, is therefore an obvious place to start. Beyond cost-cutting, and despite Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying that DOGE is running an operational, not an ideological review, there is clearly a wider ideological bent to Musk's actions so far. For example, he has proposed the wholesale removal of regulations, claimed that USAID is a radical left's political psyop, and vowed that DOGE would halt federal funding for some non-profits involved in refugee resettlement, having without evidence declared that the payments were illegal. Musk's actions had been met with an outcry from Democratic lawmakers, unions, and public interest groups, with Democrats protesting and accusing him of acting illegally and mounting a hostile takeover of sensitive government systems. The White House says that DOGE is working in compliance with federal law. However, lawsuits are challenging its actions and existence already. A judge has delayed the deadline for federal employees to accept Musk's buyout offer after unions sued to block it. A separate lawsuit alleges the Treasury violated privacy laws by giving DOGE full access to its payment system, prompting the government to agree that only 2 DOGE-affiliated Treasury employees would maintain read-only access while the case proceeds. And lawsuits were immediately filed after DOGE's creation, challenging its uncertain legal status. It's worth pointing out that several of the things Musk has been talking about are simply not within his legal power. He, nor Trump, cannot unilaterally close USAID. Only Congress can. Musk also cannot go line by line vetoing federal spending, in effect taking away Congress's power of the purse. But that might not stop him trying. Lawsuits aside, it's Congress that Musk is in theory on a collision course with, given that it's Congress's powers he is encroaching on. But despite some limited questioning of Musk's authority by Republicans, who control both chambers, there's little sign of any imminent congressional action. Democrats were defeated in their attempt to subpoena Musk to testify to the Oversight Committee, and have introduced legislation to block DOGE from taxpayers' sensitive financial information. But without some Republican support, it won't go anywhere. In the meantime, Musk looks like he has no intention of slowing down. That's not the end of this story though, with 2025 already shaping up to be a rather busy year for news. In fact, there's so much going on that we don't have time to cover it all. Just in America, there's everything from the question of whether Trump's becoming an imperial president, to America's wild history of territorial expansion, to questioning if the US is actually an oligarchy. All of these things could lead you to say, WTF USA, which is, appropriately, also the name of the series I'm literally telling you about right now. WTF USA takes a tongue-in-cheek look at the weirder side of US politics, unpacking what Trump's really up to and why Trump's kind of weird decisions could end up being incredibly impactful. WTF USA is released every other Friday only on Nebula, the streaming service we co-own with a bunch of your favorite creators. And those creators also make a ton of other exclusive Nebula content, including real-life lore series War Room. That's the show where every month the real-life lore team breaks down all of the ongoing wars and conflicts around the world to keep you up to date and informed on what's happening and why, which, in an increasingly complex world, could prove to be a very helpful summary. It's not just original content either. You can also watch every normal TLDR video on Nebula ad-free, and in some instances before they land on YouTube. If you're not a member already, click on the link in the description to get 40% off, which brings the price down to just $36 a year, or $3 a month. That's a real steal considering all of the original content on the platform, and the fact that signing up using our link directly funds the channel and allows us to make more content going forward. So thanks for your support, and please do join us over on Nebula.